Hey guys, how's it going? It's me, Caden. I hope you guys are having a great day. I'm just gonna quickly take us through a video of Deuteronomy 7. I also read Deuteronomy 8 and 9 today, so I'll be posting those videos right after this one. So if you want to watch all of them and all the ones before, you can go check them out. But I'll basically just kind of going through it, the takeaways I got from it, and then what God personally told me about it. So Deuteronomy 7. Moses is telling them about the battles they are about to do and the land they are about to inherit, right? And he constantly calls them holy chosen people. Um, and and he would clarify right after he says they are a chosen holy people, not because they're special or anything. Like they're actually, he mentions like you guys are actually the smallest nation, right? You guys are, there's nothing special about you guys. You guys aren't even like righteous. But you're chosen and you're holy because by God's grace and love. Like that's the only reason. You're just chosen because God just loves you and has grace for you. Like that's it, right? There's nothing to do with them, right? They didn't earn it in any way, right? And then he tells them to remember what God did in Egypt and to obey God so that they would be prosperous in the promised land. Okay, and kind of takeaways I got from this when he was talking about the battles they were about to do, he was telling them to destroy all their idols and to not intermarry with any of them or take any of them as their wives or their sons' wives. And what I kind of saw in there was like when he tells them not to destroy all their idols, he's basically like telling us to destroy idolatry, like take it, like just eradicate it from your life, right? And when he's telling them not to intermarry into with other wives, right? Well, you could say he's basically saying like, you know, don't do unequaled yoke. But also the way I kind of take it as like God saying like preserve your purity and your faith, right? In God, right? Because if they were take to intermarry wives, they'd probably fall into that, right? They'd get convinced or influenced, and bad stuff, right? So it's like it shows the importance of like going out and attacking and destroying, but then also protecting. There's nothing wrong with sitting back, protecting, being like, hey, no, I don't want to do that, right? And that's the kind of way I took it. Um, and then in what verse is this here? Verse 22. Verse 22 really just like it's kind of odd. Like I didn't notice it at first, but then I read it the second time in a different version, and then I was also looking into it in Gemini. And verse 22 is like really weird, or very kind of out there. It's just like God's basically saying like little by little I will give you the land and get rid of their enemies, so that the wilderness doesn't overtake you guys, right? I was like, that's so weird. Like God's this powerful God, right? He's this God that can just like, he doesn't want to upgrade you. He wants to completely replace your identity. He's not just about redeeming you. He's about redeeming you and like giving you total victory over your enemies. And it's like, what the heck? What are you talking about? Like wilderness is gonna like take you. Like, why do we have to wait up for the wilderness? Why are we worried about that? Like you're God. Like, what are you doing here? Um, but it's basically talking more about like God isn't going to do it all for you, right? And that he gives us the power to do it, right? But he wants us to wait on his timing. And that's kind of what he's saying more here. He's more talking about like, you have the power to do it. I've given you that power, but I want to make sure that you can trust and have faith in me and not just like, because like as humans, like we just want this big one victorious moment where we just solve the whole thing. If you have a problem in your life or you're stuck, like you just want this one victorious moment where you just like boom, problem's gone, you're ready to go, and you go out like the next hour and you go like complete whatever it is you're stuck in. And it's like God's like, nah, he's basically telling you like it's a process. And it's a process because I want to see if you trust me and I want to know if your faith is in us, right? So yeah, it's not that the animals have power over him, but it's just that like he's teaching them that, right? He's doing it on his timing so that he can know if they trust and have faith in God, right? And I thought that was really good. And kind of the whole idea of this chapter is is separation, right? Like holy, I forget what the word is in Hebrew, but the word holy doesn't mean like holy like righteous or like perfect or moral. It literally just means separate for a divine purpose. That's all it means in Hebrew, right? And you constantly see Moses calling them holy, and you constantly seeing him telling them don't mingle, with wives, don't intermarry, destroy their idols, like all this stuff. And it's just like God's basically like calling us to just be like completely, separated from the world, completely separated, right? And there's this constant, like the whole theme of Deuteronomy 7 is basically like separation. Like you want to be separate from them. You want to do things that like, yeah, just be separate, right? Um, yeah, and then verses, I think 12 to 13. This one really like shook me a little bit. I was like, whoa! I had to read this a second time because in verses 12 to 13, basically it's saying God is like, in the first verse he says some like, if go read it for yourselves guys because I'm too lazy to put it up on the screen, but basically he says something along the lines of like, if you obey my commandments and the statutes and whatever you give me, and you don't forget and you remember, I will love you, I will bless you, and I will multiply you, right? I was like, whoa, 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 does this mean God saying like he's not going to love us if we don't obey? Like what's going on here, right? But if you read it all together and you look into the theology of it, it's not God saying he doesn't love you. It's just a different form of expression of love that he has is going to be taken away. So like as a father, like we as a father, there's different expressions of love, right? There's an expression of love where you're disciplining your child because they've been disobeying, right? And then there's the expression of love as a father where you like give them a gift because you just want to, right? Because you love them, right? And that's kind of what it was talking there. It's just more of like that expression of love would disappear, right? Not that, God just wouldn't love them, right? Because it's I kind of thought it was a contradiction, but it's not. It's not a contradiction, right? Go look up the verse for yourself and go look into it. And that's kind of all there is for Dueteronomy 7. And I was praying about it just now, and I was kind of like, God, like, what do I take away from this, right? And when I just kind of like went blank minded, and I just tried not to like remember anything. I just kind of like sat back, and when I do this, I pray. I say, God, silence my thoughts, silence the enemy, and keep me aligned with the Holy Spirit. And every single time I do this, and I heard the word little by little come to me. The words little by little, and I was like, okay, what do I take away from little by little, right? And basically, I got like process. Like you get like, it's a process, right? Like I know for myself, like as when I was working door to door, like, and you had problems, right? And these problems, like, you would just like, everyone would just like be motivating you. You'd be motivating yourself, just like solve it today, get out there the next day, or get out there the next hour, or hit one more door, hit one more door, and it's like you would just yearn for this, like, just this moment where you could just solve your problems. You didn't have to worry about it, so you could do your job. But it was like that problem never went away, and it was just like, it's a process, right? And I've constantly always been yearning for, like, what is the core problem? Like, what is the core belief behind this? What is the core answer to this situation? And it's like, that thing never saves you. I've like, it's also just like a rabbit hole. Like, you just get deeper and deeper and deeper, and it's like, it just sucks. It sucks. So I'm very famous for myself, I guess, um, for wanting these like moments. But God's basically telling me, like, it's not a moment, it's a process. And I was like, damn, okay, don't like that, but that's how it is, right? And I see it a lot now, looking at like the last like month, even like the last 6 months, right? That's kind of all I got from it today. Like I said, I read 3 chapters today. Um, Long story short, I actually read all three in like an hour and a half. But and then I made videos. I recorded videos, and I was like, okay, I'm about to post these, and I was just like, I just like watched them back. Not really. Like I just kind of like skimmed through them. I was like, I did not do a good enough job going deep into it. Like I need to put way more effort and time into looking into these. I had like 2 points for each one, so I had to go back. I read the whole thing again in the same version in different versions, and then I did my research, and now I actually have three videos. And it was also like just I did it so clumsily. Like I had all three, and I compressed them all in a row, so all just like meshed together. It was not good. Um, but yeah. Anyways, that's it for Deuteronomy 7. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.